one big question concerns undecided voters. Fully 13% of voters polled say they don't back either major party candidate, yet at least, according to a new Wall Street Journal poll. Among them, 52% are suburban voters, 33% whites with a college degree, and 48% are people who hope the Republicans will continue their control of Congress. 79% have negative views of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. For some thoughts on this tonight, we start with former senior advisor to President George W. Bush, Karl Rove, who joins me from New York. Hi, Karl.
How are you, Britt?
I'm well, buddy. Listen, what do you think about this? Looks like an unusually high number of undecideds at this stage. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Since this summer, we've had roughly half again as many undecided voters as we've had in any election since 1992. And we also have had two different kinds of undecided voters. We've traditionally had, in presidential election years, undecideds who are not very partisan. They tend to be a little bit more non-white, a little bit younger, a little bit less affluent, but they look like the rest of the electorate generally, except that they don't take in much information, they don't really care about politics much, and they make up their minds very late, and they're driven by the personal characteristics of the candidates. But in this election, we got a second kind of undecided voter. I call them the unconvinced undecideds. They are highly informed. They're well educated. They tend to be in suburban areas and metropolitan regions. They have the dynamic that you saw, that you described earlier. In this election, they tend to be more Republican than Democrat, and they don't like either candidate. 8 out of 10 of them, nearly 8 out of 10 of them have negative feelings about Donald Trump, and 8 out of 10 have negative feelings about Hillary Clinton. And it's going to be interesting to see how they come out in this thing, because they are more likely to participate in the election than the traditional undecided.
The conventional wisdom about undecided voters is that it's easy to overestimate their impact because most of them end up not voting. These people, according to the profile we get from this poll, look like the kind of people who do vote.
Absolutely. And they're sitting there waiting to get the right kind of signal to vote. Now, interestingly enough, Donald Trump has an easier avenue to get to them, in my opinion, not only because they tend to be more Republican. 48% of them say regardless of who gets elected president, they want a Republican Congress. 25% of them say regardless of who gets elected, they want a Democratic Congress. So they look sort of like they're Republicans, soft Republicans in the suburbs. He has to reassure them that he's up to the job. She has got to persuade them that they ought to vote for her. Those are two different things. One where you've got to give sort of the message of, you know, look, I realize we got differences, but at the end of the day, I'm the change agent that you can have confidence in. She's got to persuade them, look, I know you want change. I know you don't like me. I know you distrust me. And I know you're upset about the last 8 years, but you know what? Stay with us, continuity, because he's too extreme. A lot easier to do what he needs to do than what she needs to do.
In the end, Karl, it's occurred to me, as you suggest, that a lot of voters just don't want to vote for her. Mm-hmm. And that all other things being equal, this would be a year in which it would be a pretty easy task for a Republican to be elected. Donald Trump is proving that it's a difficult task. What does he basically, really have to do here to get these people, A, to vote, and B, to vote for him?
Well, look, it's like fine art. We know it when we see it, and I think Americans saw it in Mexico City. I thought that news conference afterwards was presidential. He was not angry. He was not pounding the table. He wasn't calling people names. He looked and acted and sounded like a president. I thought the event on Saturday morning in Detroit, there was a guy who looked like a president. Thursday night, where he is playing to the crowd and angry and out of control at times, that's the kind of thing that I think causes this group of unconvinced undecideds to say, you know what, I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines a little bit more.
Well, with these numbers, Karl, it does look like there are plenty enough of them that they could decide the election either way, right?
Exactly. And look, in the last month, he has cut that lead from 7.9 to 3 points. And he has done so after 3 terrible weeks following the convention, and he has done so by moving those undecideds into his column. And the kind of people we're talking about are the people who have fueled that movement that has closed the gap. More by leaving her than coming to him, but nonetheless coming to him.
Yeah, and I guess one of his worries has to be that those voters won't go to one of the other party candidates. Which I guess is a possibility. Karl, thank you. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
Hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely.